Module 11, How Work is Procured and Won. Where opportunities are published, the selection methods by name, what a proposal contains, and the rules that disqualify people. Where this module picks up. The previous module covered finding opportunities, the upstream documents, the portals, the pipeline register, and the go or no-go decision. This module starts at the point where you have decided to bid and covers the rules that govern the competition itself. The selection methods. These names are close to universal across the multilateral banks, and knowing which one governs an assignment tells you how to bid. Quality and cost-based selection. QCBS, the default for most firm assignments. Technical and financial proposals are submitted together in separate sealed envelopes. The technical is evaluated first against published criteria, and only proposals meeting a minimum qualifying technical score proceed. Financial envelopes of qualifying firms are then opened publicly, and a combined score is calculated on published weights. Technical weight is typically dominant, commonly in the 70 to 90% range, depending on the institution and the complexity of the assignment. Quality-based selection. QBS, technical quality alone decides the winner. Only the top-ranked firm's financial proposal is opened, and cost is then negotiated. It is used for complex, high-stakes, or hard-to-specify assignments, where the lowest price would be a poor proxy for value. Fixed budget selection, FBS. The budget is stated in the request for proposals. Firms design the best possible work within it. Proposals exceeding the budget are rejected, and the highest technical score wins. Least cost selection. LCS. Among proposals passing the technical threshold, the cheapest wins, reserved for standard, well-defined assignments such as routine audits. Consultant qualifications selection. CQS, for small assignments. Expressions of interest are compared, the best qualified firm is invited to submit a proposal, and terms are negotiated. No full competition, direct or single-source selection. No competition, permitted only in narrow, justified circumstances, a natural continuation of existing work, a genuine sole provider, an emergency, or a very small value. It is closely scrutinized, and it should never be the basis of a strategy. Individual consultant selection. For assignments sized for one person, contracted with the expert rather than with a firm. The client compares curricula vitae against the terms of reference, usually requiring a minimum number of candidates, scoring general qualifications, specific experience, and language. There is normally no technical proposal. The CV is the proposal. Recognize it so you can read a procurement plan correctly. Packages marked for individual selection are not firm opportunities, and a plan that is mostly individual selection signals a client buying expertise piecemeal rather than a team. And framework agreements, or long-term agreements. A pool of firms or individuals is pre-qualified through one large competition, and specific assignments are then called off from the pool with a light mini-competition or a direct assignment. Widely used by the European Commission, by UN agencies, and by bilateral agencies. Getting onto a framework is slow and expensive. Being on one produces steady work with far lower bid cost per assignment. The firm selection sequence. A general procurement notice signals the overall project and its expected packages. A request for expressions of interest, the REOI, advertises a specific assignment. It states the terms of reference in summary, the eligibility rules, the shortlisting criteria, and a deadline that is typically short. 2 to 3 weeks is common. The expression of interest is not a proposal. It is evidence of corporate capability. Firm profile, and comparable assignments with client, country, dates, contract value, and the firm's actual role. Shortlisting is decided almost entirely on how closely those references match the assignment's sector, scale, and geography. A shortlist is drawn, conventionally around 6 firms, with rules at most institutions on geographic spread, and on not shortlisting more than a set number from any one country. The request for proposals goes only to shortlisted firms. It contains the full terms of reference, the data sheet with dates and rules, the evaluation criteria and their weights, the contract form, and the required proposal formats. Proposals are submitted. Technical evaluation is scored against published criteria, typically the firm's specific experience, the adequacy of the proposed methodology and work plan, the qualifications and experience of the key experts, and increasingly, knowledge transfer and national participation. Key experts usually carry the largest single share of the technical score. Financial proposals of technically qualifying firms are opened, combined scores calculated, and the top-ranked firm invited to negotiate. Negotiation covers methodology, staffing, inputs and contract terms, and, depending on the method, price. Contract award is published, and unsuccessful firms may request a debriefing. Complaint and standstill procedures exist, and they are used. Elapsed time from expression of interest to contract signature is commonly several months and often longer. What a technical proposal contains: understanding of the assignment and its context, demonstrating that the firm has read the project documents rather than the notice. Comments on the terms of reference where invited. Methodology and technical approach, how the work will actually be done and why that way. Work plan and activity schedule. Organization and staffing, including the staffing schedule showing person months by expert and phase. Curricula vitae of key experts, in the required format, signed by the expert. Corporate experience with verifiable references, and any required declarations on eligibility and conflict of interest. The financial proposal, in a separate sealed envelope or upload, sets out remuneration by expert and input, reimbursables, and applicable taxes and duties. Running the proposal. A proposal is a production job with a hard deadline and a compliance test, and it fails more often on process than on technical merit. Assign roles at kickoff. A proposal manager owns compliance and the schedule and has authority over contributors. A technical lead owns the methodology, and the proposed team leader should shape or write the approach, because evaluators can tell when the named leader had nothing to do with it. Contracts reviews the contract form and any deviations to be raised. And finance builds the financial proposal against the required format. Then work backwards from the submission deadline. Build a compliance matrix first, mapping every requirement in the request for proposals to the place it is answered. This single document prevents most disqualifications. Secure expert commitments and signed CVs early, because a CV arriving late, unsigned, or in the wrong format is among the most common causes of a failed bid. Draft, then run an internal review by someone outside the bid team, who scores the draft against the client's published criteria and weights rather than reading it for style. Then produce and submit with real buffer, since portal uploads fail and deadlines are absolute, and use the clarification window. Requests for proposals set a deadline for written questions that falls well before submission, and the client's answers are issued to all bidders. A question that resolves an ambiguity in the terms of reference is free information. What disqualifies people? Late submission, any financial information appearing in the technical envelope. Missing or unsigned CVs, failure to use the prescribed forms. Ineligible nationality, where financing is tied or where a country is excluded, and proposing a key expert without their written commitment. Conflict of interest is the rule most often misunderstood. A firm that prepared the design or the terms of reference is normally barred from bidding on the downstream works, supply, or supervision arising from it. A firm advising a government on a transaction generally cannot also bid to be a party to it. Check the conflict rules before investing in a preparation contract that would close a larger downstream door. And integrity enforcement is real. The multilateral banks maintain public lists of debarred firms and individuals, and under a mutual enforcement agreement, a debarment by one participating bank is recognized by the others. Debarment ends a firm's access to the entire multilateral market. Networks and reputation, honestly. Relationships shape who hears about an opportunity early, who is invited to join a consortium, whose CV a project officer recognizes on a shortlist, and who is trusted with a repeat assignment. This is not a shadow system running parallel to the formal one. It operates inside it at the discretionary points. It does not override the evaluation. Competitive procurement exists to make the spending of public money defensible, and a proposal that is weak on paper does not win because it is well connected. The practical statement is simple. Relationships determine what you are invited into. The written proposal determines what you win. Before you rely on any of this, check the source. Procurement rules are revised. Use the current regulations of the financing institution, the World Bank's procurement regulations for IPF borrowers, ADB's procurement policy and staff instructions, the AFDB, IDB, EBRD, and his DB rules, the European Commission's practical guide for external action, and each UN agency's procurement manual. Thresholds, weights, shortlist sizes, and standstill periods vary between them and change over time. In summary, opportunities surface first in procurement plans, then in notices on institution-specific portals. Firm work runs through expression of interest, shortlist, request for proposals, technical and financial evaluation, negotiation, and award, under a named selection method that determines how quality and price are traded off. Frameworks pre-qualify a pool and then call off work cheaply, and they are worth the cost of entry. Run the proposal as a production job, compliance matrix first, sign CV/S early, an independent review scored against the client's own criteria, and buffer before submission. Disqualification is usually procedural, conflict of interest is stricter than newcomers expect, and debarment is enforced across all the major banks at once. And that is the end of the course. Modules 1 to 6 are the landscape. Modules 7 to 11 are the machinery. Now take one live project on a funder's website and trace it end to end. The country strategy that produced it, the instrument financing it, the executing agency implementing it, the procurement plan listing its consultancy packages, and the notices already issued against them.